Many liken birth to a spark that ignites a flame. A flame that rages when it's dark, crying out to those surrounding it, and crackles when accompanied by its creator, giggling at the idea of its own existence. But as the clouds gather above and their tears begin to drizzle down, what was once a beacon of light slowly fades until it is gone. Some might refer to it as the human curse. Others might call it mercy. Nevertheless, it's like a hot cup of coffee. You either drink it and it burns your tongue, or you wait for it to cool off. Either way, you're sipping the coffee. Okay, that analogy doesn't really work, nor was it particularly well written. But the point still stands. We all die, and we know it. So why is it so surprising when it happens to our favorite characters? Well, because they're like family. And no one wants to see their family die. Our families are side protagonists of our own stories. They're on this deceptive yet sometimes satisfying journey with us. But the similarities don't stop there. We grow up alongside these characters, sometimes literally. We experience their highs and their lows, their goods and bads. Hell, some may even go as far as to shed tears over those fictional characters. Fictional. That is the key word. Fictional suggests that the creator has the agency to guide the story in any which way they want. Which begs the question, why would they kill someone they've built up to be an integral part of the story? You see, fiction tends to leave a heavier impression when the consumer can relate. That is why a story filled with horned magicians, amphibian journalists, and emoting television humanoids can be so engaging. Because just as this video isn't about life and death, these stories aren't about the odd and rather peculiar. It's about what's underneath it all. And what's underneath it all is a life lesson, interpreted by our own experiences. Marco's passing is arguably the most poignant death in Saga thus far. And for many, it was totally unexpected. But for the few keen readers out there, his death was seen coming a mile away. Though most of us understand Saga to be a coming-of-age story about Hazel due to her witty and contemplative narration, there are clearly three protagonists in this tale. In fact, Marco's storyline is one that carries a large portion of this title. Half of it, at least. Elena completes that circle with her sullen attitude toward everything Marco perceives as anapestic. So it's rather fitting when in issue 1 on the very last page of the book, Hazel alludes to one or possibly both of her parents' impending deaths. Elena has always been the warrior of the family. This fresh take on the modern male and female relationship at the time allowed for unpredictable storytelling. No longer was it certain that the man would save the woman. So when both Marco and Elena were put in compromising predicaments, there was no telling how they would play out. And as for Marco was more of an artist. A writer who viewed life as if it to be literature. His optimistic views of everyone and everything knew no bounds. And it was that very optimism that cost him his life. Regarding my point stated earlier, the one pertaining to fiction reflecting reality itself, Fiona Staples, the artist of Saga, opens up in an interview released by Entertainment Weekly mid-2018 about the struggle she dealt with while drawing this comic, specifically the harder-hitting scenes. Saga's plot building to this climax happens to coincide with my own feelings of mild burnout, Fiona said. I also experienced a lot of loss and change in my life in 2018, and Saga's increasingly heavy themes began to hit close to home. With tens of thousands of fans reading Saga on a monthly basis, it isn't a stretch to assume that some, if not all of those readers, have dealt with a loss similar to this one. Or, as similar as life can get to shield bashing and flying trees. Though death is a conductor of this train, Figuratively speaking, what I am communicating is that things such as death, along with other real-life occurrences, are present in fiction. For as fiction, and specifically science fiction, is a medium that has taken from and given back to humanity.
Science fiction is an entry into history, psychology, philosophy, religion, politics, economics, sociology, critical thinking, and of course, science.
Maintainer of an award-winning blog, columnist for the Daily Beast, and professor at Boston University, Joel Renstrom, expresses much more eloquently than I can the concept behind science fiction and its impact on human life within the frame of reality, especially developing adults.
Science fiction allows students a way to process difficult issues that they might otherwise be too shy or scared or overwhelmed to discuss. It is easier to talk about colonialism or war or racism through the lens of Ray Bradbury's The Martian Chronicles. Science fiction explores what it means to be human, and that's relevant to everything. And this delights my students.
There are plenty other lessons to be learned from Saga. Namely, there's the meaning of war, love knowing no bounds, and how crucial it is for children to have positive parental figures of influence in their lives. But through Marco's death, it becomes a bit more apparent that life is almost always reflected in fiction. And as previously stated, the tether between the two allows lessons to be learned.